So, this is part two. This is Lucifer here, business and spiritual consultant, of course. And so, I was depicting Lilith is actually the mother of vampires and demons. Um, so that's where your original basis comes from, Lilith. The top of the pyramid is Lilith. The top of the pyramid is Lucifer. It's not, unfortunately, for some, it's not a voodoo spirit. The top of the food chain is not a voodoo spirit. Um, so if you're in the left hand path, the top of the food chain for a voodoo practitioner is Lucifer. If you're on the right hand path, the top of the food chain for voodoo is what some people would depict as God. So I feel like I said his brain is fried, bro. That's disrespectful. My bad. But I'm not saying that in like a general term. What I mean is from the standpoint of where you're standing in the hierarchy of things, then that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make sense for you to be elevated to the point where you are and have holes in your belief system. And you have a lot of holes. You have a lot of holes in your belief system, bro. So it's like Cafu, right? He's always mentioning Cafu, right? A lot of people mention Cafu. Cafu has made a big comeback recently. You know, a lot of people are enamored and amazed by Cafu. But Cafu is actually a representation of Satan in the voodoo world. That's who he is. He's not God. He's Satan. Well, he wants to be Satan. Um, and if you look at Baron Samedi, if you look at Baron Samedi, he's actually a representation of Samael. So the god of death. So, and the god of death and Satan are not the same people. The god of death is the god of death. Satan is Satan. So in voodoo practice, those two guys are actually the big bosses in the left hand voodoo path. Even though Baron Samedi is not necessarily left handed, but he's not necessarily right handed either. So Baron Samedi is very in between, you know. Um, he's a crossroad. He's what some people would consider as a crossroad demon. Cafu is also, well, he's known to be the crossroad demon, crossroad entity, crossroads spirit. Us, in our belief, we would call that a crossroad demon. He stands at a crossroad. You know, in one of his rituals, you have to be in the middle of a crossroad. You have to go in the middle of a crossroad and do all kinds of things. Now, the thing is, I'm not a voodoo practitioner, but I do. They do speak to me. I do communicate with them, you know, and they communicate with me when they feel the need that they need to communicate with me. So there's many spirits that come and see me from time to time. You know, they just have something to say or a message to give me or some shit like that. But it's not by practice just because I'm all over the place. You know, like I've heard Thor laugh in the distance. I've seen the thunder strike. You know, I know who Odin is. I understand what Odin means to humanity. You know, I speak to different gods. Kali is a goddess that helps me in time of need. You can always depend on Kali to help you when you're in a spiritual battle, when you're in a spiritual where you're where when you're in spiritual warfare. Kali is probably one of the best goddesses to call upon. She can definitely she will be happy to destroy your ego. She will be happy to destroy everything that's around you. It makes her happy. I mean, she'll do it for free. You know what I mean? Like that shit. She's fucking gangster. You know what I mean? She's the kind of like, man, I'll do that shit for free, dog. Like no problem. You know. But I always had this affinity for Kali. But the thing is, I don't practice enough of Hinduism to have her as a patron, and I don't. And the bad part, another reason is I don't speak to Parvati enough. And Parvati is actually her light side. You know, that's actually who she is. Kali is Parvati. So sometimes you have to devote yourself to Parvati in order to use Kali in her full force or in your everyday life. I can't use Kali in my everyday life because I'm not devoted enough to Parvati, and I'm not even devoted enough to Kali in the first place. But when I really need like to destroy everything around me, I call Kali. When it gets to a point where I feel like, okay, nothing is working, I call Kali, you know, and she'll just wipe everything. You know, she'll just fucking wipe everything. But you need to have had. I've been dealing with Kali since I was a teenager. You know, so it's not like anybody can just call Kali. Like it's not like you can hear me say that and you can do that. You can not really. Me is because I've always had a consistent respect and a consistent like relationship with Kali. But I would still encourage people, if you are dealing in spiritual warfare, I would still I would still, you know, promote Kali as a good destroyer god, because she is. She genuinely is. And you know, she genuinely is. You know, there's so many. It's hard sometimes to pick and choose who's gonna do what, when, where. Because Lucifer is a powerful entity, very powerful entity. Asmodeus is a powerful entity. Beelzebub is a powerful entity. Lilith is a powerful entity. You know, they're almost all powerful entities. I mean, even Baal. Baal is a powerful entity. I've already talked about why he's a powerful entity, but whether you like it or not, he's still a powerful. Whether you like him or not, he's still very powerful. He's still a powerful entity. You know, there's just a lot of them that are just so potent that it's hard to like be like, oh, just choose this one or just do that one or blah blah blah. You can't really. They're all powerful. You know, they're all very powerful. When you have deceivers like Elmera that come around and tell you that these things don't exist, that's just fucking craziness. I mean, like that's deceiving people right there. You know, that's false prophethood. You know, that's false prophethood right there, bro. Like you can't be like, you know, oh, I deal with demonic spirits in order to hurt people, but there's no king of demons, and then tell people that there's no king of demons, but you use demonic entities. That's craziness, man. Like that's craziness, bro. Like that's just craziness, man. Like, you know what I mean, bro? Like that makes absolutely no sense. That's why I'm like, yo, your brain is fried. Because how can you say something like that, but you're using demonic entity? I mean, he's basing his persona on, yo, I use the most hardcore entities. Because Kafu is it's kind of of a hardcore entity. He's a horrific entity to use. You know, like he's horrific. Like he likes horror. You know what I mean? So where do you think that comes from? I mean, like, you know, like where, I mean, you know, like it doesn't make any sense. You know, like it doesn't make any sense. I'm not afraid of Kafu. You know, I've already dealt with Kafu, and he already tried to do his, you know, whole horror kind of thing on me, but I was kind of like, man, the fuck out of here, dog. Like you, I get it. Okay, you want to be Satan. You think you're Satan, bro. I already dealt with Kafu. I don't like Kafu. You know, I don't like Kafu because he wants to be Satan. That's why I don't like Kafu. And Lucifer and Satan to me is not the same person. And Lucifer, when you know Lucifer is not a horrific person. Lucifer is not a horrific person. He thinks that's how he sees Lucifer, and that's what he wants to be. You know, and that's fine for him. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. That's his life. But you have to know, but in reality, Lucifer is not a horrific person. Yes, he's a demon. Yes, he has a demon face. Yes, he has horns. Yes, he has spiky teeth. Yes, he has scaly skin. Part of my, I don't know if I should say that. Sorry, but you know, if I offended you, I didn't mean to. But yes, he has those things, but he's not a horrific entity to deal with. He's not gonna bring horror to you. He can if he wants to. If there's a need to do that, he probably will do that. But if there's no need to do that, he's not gonna do that. That's not at all who he is. He's a bit more, he has a little bit more of a personality than people give him credit for. You know, they all have more personality that people give them credit for. Because, like, let's say Asmodeus, for example. Oh, he's the demon of lust, and he guards the casino. He's way more than that, bro. The guy's a general. Asmodeus is a fucking general. He's a goddamn. If he works in a casino, he's the goddamn bouncer of the casino. You know what I mean? Like he throws niggas out on their asses. You know what I mean? That's who Asmodeus is, and he's very disciplined. He's not like, he's the demon of lust. So you expect the demon of lust to be like wanting to have sex all the time. I was possessed by Asmodeus, and I didn't feel like having sex all the time. You know what I mean, bro? Like, at all, bro. And I've spoken to Asmodeus, and I've dealt with Asmodeus, and the way he works is in a very disciplined fashion. He's gonna grill you like you're a fucking soldier, and he's gonna talk to you like you're one of his soldiers. That's how he talks. He talks to you like you're a soldier. So you can't be like, you can't be wimpy and emotional, and you know, just, I wouldn't say scared, but in a way scared. You know what I mean? Like, you can't be wimpy, because when he's gonna talk to you, he's gonna talk to you like a drill sergeant. So he will insult you, but he's not really insulting you. But he's kind of like, you know, you do give me 20, you maggot. You know what I mean? Kind of shit. That's how he is. So he has more of a personality than people give him credit for. You're gonna read a book. You're gonna read an old grimoire, and oh, he's the great king of lust and, you know, casinos and blah blah blah. But when you call him up, you have a totally different experience. You have a completely different experience. Me, that's the experience I was like. He was talking to me like I was his freaking soldier. Like he was drilling me. Like, you know, you better do this because da 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 da. You know what I mean? Like, he's not gonna hurt you, but he's trying to drill you. He's trying to drill you. You know what I mean? Like, he's trying to make you better. You know, he's pushing you in his way. That's how he does things. You know, Beelzebub doesn't really talk. He doesn't talk that much. Beelzebub is somebody you call him up, you ask him to do something, and he does it. You know what I mean? He's not in that whole. He's a quiet, silent type. You know what I mean? He's a strong, silent type. You know, he doesn't talk that much. He just like, just tell me what to do, tell me what you want, I'll go do it, and yada yada yada, blah blah blah. You know, Lilith is the one that has the most quirky personality out of all of them. To be honest, like she's very she's a woman. Like she is a woman. She's 100% a woman. Like sometimes she says no, but it actually means yes. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, like she's a woman. Like you never know. You barely understand what she like. It takes you time to find out what she really wants and what she really needs, bro. Like and but she'll protect you. She'll love you. She'll be there for you. She'll give you things. She's a great shield against powers and principalities. As of Lucifer is a slick, James Bond kind of guy. Like I said before, he's a James Bond kind of guy. Like that's who he is, bro. Like that's his everyday, bro. He's a James Bond kind of character. You know what I mean? Like charming, slick, smart, extremely powerful. Like James Bond. I think that James Bond is one of those things where it's kind of like, because the thing is, in the tarot they depict, some people believe that when the Lucifer card comes out, that they're gonna be in trouble, that their life is screwed, and they're cursed and everything. Having the devil card being pulled out in your reading is the best card that you can ever have in all of the other cards. It's the best card because that card represents like attraction, seduction. You're gonna have luck with women. You're gonna have luck with money. You're gonna go to casino and everything. Like your money's just gonna pour out. Like you're gonna go to the casino. You're just gonna have like a bunch of money coming to you. You're gonna play the lottery and you're gonna win a little bit. The women who's gonna find you exciting. That's what that card means. That James Bond kind of life. So when you have the devil card come out in your tarot reading, that's a great card to have. It's a great card to have. That means luck. That means like fortune and luck, good fortune and good luck. You know what I mean? That means fate is on your side. But most people, they see the devil, that devil card with the wings and the shit, and they'll be like, oh fuck, man, I'm screwed, bro. I'm possessed. There's a demon in my house, and I'm not gonna be able to sleep for 2 weeks and shit, and I'm gonna have to move. All kinds of people actually believe that. I'm not even kidding. I'm not exaggerating. People actually, like, if they see that card, they're gonna go see a pastor. They're gonna you know what I mean, bro? They're gonna go get anointed, go get some spiritual blessings, all kinds of shit. People have a very clear stigma of the devil card, which they don't need to, because it's actually the best card that could come out. I'm every time I see the devil card, I'm like, yes. You know what I mean? I'm like, God damn. You know what I mean? I know I'm gonna have a good time. I know like fortune is coming. I know like, I might girls might find me good looking tonight and shit. I might have devilish luck. I might have demonic Shakti, dark, swag to you, you know what I mean? But most people don't know that. And most people don't understand that. And most people listen to Elmira that tells them that Lucifer doesn't exist based off of mystic books. And I don't really believe that video is going to cause any damage. I don't think anybody's stupid enough to think that there's no such thing as Lucifer. I doubt that very highly. I don't even know why he made that video. I think he made that video just to fuck with me and shit. Obviously, because there's no fucking way that you can be a mystic. In his case, there's no there's no way that he's a dark path voodoo practitioner and he doesn't believe that Lucifer exists. Where the fuck does your dark power come from? Because you're using dark power, you're not using light power. You're not using light power, you're using dark power. So where does it come from, dude? How can you explain that shit, bro? How can you say that it doesn't make any sense? And like I said before, angels are above gods. It's God, angels, gods, demigods, gods, mythological creatures, demigods, Nephilims, and then there's Leviathan somewhere in there, and then humans. So there's no, it just doesn't make any sense. It doesn't add up. That's where your power comes from. Your power comes from somewhere, man. It comes from a specific angel. And I mean, hey, if it's not Lucifer, then it comes from somebody. It comes from one of those angels. It comes from one of those angels, bro. Like it has to. It has to. Because like there's a hierarchy, and there's a power hierarchy, and the stars, you're talking about gematria, and gematria is just numerology, but numerology is connected to the stars. The stars are connected to creation, right? So every creation is relative to a number of stars, or a specific number. You know what I mean? That specific number is relative to everything that is under the pyramid, that's in the pyramid of a specific persona or character build, right? So let's say you're St. Peter's. Well, St. Peter's is actually a genetic resemblance to Jesus, and Jesus is a genetic resemblance to maybe an Egyptian god, or maybe not, maybe an Egyptian god. So let's say Jesus is I don't know, like a genetic descendant of Amun Ra, but Amun Ra is also from the stars, from his creation, well, the form that he took, which is actually related to the stars in the sky, that is also related to the angel that is connected to that creation, right? So every shit rolls downhill. It rolls downhill, bro. So you can't be like, I'm a dark path practitioner, but Lucifer don't exist. That's just insane. that's like, how is this guy still breathing? Like how did this guy made it this far? The thing is, when I look at this guy, I kind of have this, because there's like this conspiracy where strong people are made to look weak, and weak people are made to look strong. This is a conspiracy, all right? Because this is an accusation, right? Because I don't have any valuable proof of that. No one has. You can watch videos on YouTube about that specific, happening, but nobody has proof that that's true. But still, in a way, when you look at this guy, when you look at Ed Marin, you listen to what he's saying, you can see that there's a form of weakness in him. Not physical. I don't say like he looks like physically weak, but there's personality, a conduct that he has that is obviously coming from a weak mentality. Like it's a weak mentality mindset. And I feel like he's a perfect example of how life rewards weak-minded individuals over strong-willed minded people. Because let's look at the difference, right? Like I'm not dissing this man's hustle. This man's, if he is a jeweler, all power to him, man. The shit, it looks good. Like I said, you know, I might fuck around and buy one of his jewelry at some point. I'm gonna change my name and shit, and I'm gonna get it mailed and shit. You know what I mean? Just mail me your, you know, you know. But so that looks good. I'm not hating on that, but you know, I feel like that's the shit right there. Where I kind of like, you know, like he got that. Like let's look at Son of Ogu, right? Son of Ogu was so powerful, was so much more powerful than him that he actually, you know, buried the hatchet. But if you look at Son of Ogu, he doesn't look like he's as successful as El Merit. If you look at me, I don't look like I'm as successful as El Merit, you know. And I'm pretty sure there's other people that Elmira had beef with, and he wasn't as strong spiritually as they were, and those people probably don't look like they're more successful than Elmira. So there's kind of like this thing where I feel like he's like a perfect representation of how weak-minded individuals are always like rewarded because you know there's a balance to keep. You know, there's this so-called balance, this weird balancing act that society's playing, and since we're strong people, then we don't need those things right now, and we're gonna give more things to the weaker people so they don't get left behind. You know, but nobody was planning on leaving anybody behind. So I don't know who or what person thought about doing this, but I feel like it comes from a place of paranoia because I wasn't planning on leaving anybody behind, bro. Shit, man, like you know, like I don't want to sound like a kumbaya dude, but man, if I could, you know, bring on everybody on a yacht party and shit, like, cause yachts can hold a lot of people. Yachts, there's some yachts that can hold like 1,000 people in that motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of shit. I'd fold that yacht up and we go party. You know what I mean? But you know, I don't want to sound kumbaya, but you know, and that's how I feel sometimes in my head sometimes. But I'm not saying that I would do that right now, but you know, it comes, you know, there was a time where I used to think like that. Like, you know, I'd be like, you know, I'd be working and I'd be like, you know, that was the dream. That was legit the dream. The dream was, you know, bringing everybody, you know, and we're gonna have, you know, this insane party and shit, man, all the time. You know what I mean? Not just one time, like all the time. You know, that would be the lifestyle. You know what I mean? So in the back of my mind, you know, that shit was always there. So I'm not really like, so I don't know where, and I other people that are like me kind of have this tendency to have that notion in them from time to time. Not all the time, but sometimes you talk to somebody long enough and he lets something slip, you know, and he's like, man, you know, and some, for some people it sounds like kumbaya shit because people are so not used to other people being good to them that they feel like when they hear somebody talk like that, they feel like it's bullshit, you know, and it's not really bullshit. It's just that the person doesn't necessarily have, you know, the financial backings to get like a 247-foot yacht to bring everybody on. You know what I mean? That shit costs million, you know, so millions, you know, so it's not that it's bullshit, bro. It's just like the person can't do that right now. But most people, you know, in everyday life, you're so used to people not being good. People are so used to other people not being good to each other that they're kind of like, man, you shut your ass up with that kumbaya shit, man. People ain't trying to hear that, you know. Which is sad, but it's okay. You know, it's legal. You know what I mean? It ain't right, but it doesn't make you wrong. You know. So yeah, man, I'm kind of like, how can I don't understand how this person can be this like all powerful destroyer of people, like all y'all tell me he is. And there's so many plot holes in his movie. There's so many plot holes in this movie. I don't believe that he's this guy that he says he is. It's like, he was last night he was talking about, he talks about fighting a lot. Bro. I don't talk about fighting a lot. I don't like to fight. I don't like fighting. You know what I mean? Like I mean I don't like violence. Like it happens. I fight in the streets. I don't fight like with padded gloves and shit like that. Like I fight in the street. It happens. I don't like it, but it happens. I don't want to gloat, and I'm a spiritual person. So I'm not, my responsibility is not to talk about the guy I beat up in jail, or the guy I beat up in front of my house, or or that, this and that. That's not what I feel like doing. There's some people that might like it. Like I said, self-validation, a lot of people love that. A lot of people, they appreciate it. They appreciate the stories. It makes them, because the thing is, you don't want to follow a leader that's weak. There's a lot of people that kind of like, you got to be strong physically too. Like they're not going to follow you if you're some physically weak ass nigga. You know what I mean? There's some people that they'll listen, but all of the devotion that they would give you, they won't give you that form of devotion because they don't know if you're worthy or strong enough for that form of devotion. So when you start talking about like swinging motherfuckers in the face and and all kinds of shit, it makes them feel better, and then they give you more devotion, and then they give you like more of themselves. So people do that. It's a thing that people do all the time, and that's the reason why people don't believe in kumbaya bullshit. When you talking about kumbaya shit, nobody's gonna believe you. Even though you might actually believe what you said, people don't care. They ain't trying to hear that shit, because on an everyday basis, people act like jerks with other people all the time, like 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. You know what I mean? So when you get involved in that form of self-validation, it looks realer than somebody saying kumbaya shit. You know what I mean? So I understand that part, because I've seen him. I'm not gonna act like the last video he did was the first time and that he ever talked about fighting. But I've noticed that like he talks a lot about fight. He talks about a lot of negative shit that I don't necessarily understand. Well, you get the kind of fans. The fans he has is the fans he has. The people that believe in him, they believe in him because they're like him. You know what I mean? Or they want to be like him, or they see him as a person that, as the ideal personality, right? Talking about fighting, having a little bit of jewelry, having a little bit of, a little bit of success, and all that shit, right? So they have this notion, this mentality that, that's what I feel like a spiritual leader should look like, even though that's not what a spiritual leader should look like. There's a lot of people that give me flack because I dress up. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that give me flack because I dress up, because I wear jewelry. But most of these people, they give me flack because they know I'm a spiritual person. So when I do shit that in their mind doesn't look spiritual, I get flack for that. But it is spiritual. There is a spirituality behind it. You just might not understand it. But at some point, it kind of brings negative energy back to you if you don't, act more spiritual. It actually brings back, like, it kind of like reverses the spell that you're trying, because it's a spell. When you're doing beautification, that's a spell. It's a spell, bro. It's a magical practice. You're doing beautification. So if you're practicing beautification, beautification is not as strong as the entirety of history, the complexity and global conscious thought, historical thought of what a spiritual person is. You have to understand, you're doing beautification, it's going to work for 2 weeks, right? But the spiritual, the image of the spiritual man has been around for thousands of years. So you can't just, when your beautification doesn't work, it doesn't work. You know what I mean? You have to respect it. And then you got to go wear some white cloth, linen, cloak, robe and shit. You got to do that sometimes. You got to do it. You got to do it. You don't have a choice, because that beautification is not going to work. Like, it's going to work a little bit. It might work for 2-3 months, 6 months, 9 months, or something like that. But there's a little bit of a negative vibe. You're gonna feel a little bit of a negative vibe at some point, because you can't outcast something that's been around for thousands of years. And you've only been around for a couple of years. It's not like beautification didn't exist thousands of years. This is Egyptian shit. Beautification is Egyptian. It's an Egyptian practice. So you can't. So it's been around for a couple thousand years too. But even then, the people that were practicing beautification, the druids and the shamans and things like that, those guys existed before beautification. So you have to respect the hustle. You know what I mean? So I get flack for doing that. So the point I'm trying to make is, people. I'm not saying that his fans are necessarily negative, but I'm saying that I understand where they come from. But in actuality, if you really want to know the truth, that's not how you act. That's like, it's really not how you act when you're a spiritual leader. Like, it's really, he's mixing up his ABCs. You know what I mean? Like that's just not how. There's a process towards apotheosis. There's a learning curve into apotheosis, and I can definitely see that he hasn't been in apotheosis. I don't know what the reason is. Maybe he's too busy with his jewelry shit. There's obviously a clear cut reason that he doesn't believe in Lucifer. So there's no way for him. There's a disconnect with nature around him. There's a disconnect with the natural state of things around him. Because you can be very successful and be spiritual. He can still work in jewelry and be very spiritual. It's not because, he might have some fears that if he indulges in too much spirituality, he might lose his jewelry store. That's based out of fear. Because you're the boss, right? Like, he calls himself a king. He refers to himself as a king. He refers to himself as a king on a general basis. But that's not what I saw. That's not what he showed me. Because he just said it in his video when he said, talking about Lucifer, that was a reference. He was answering back to what I was saying, basically. So it was like, every children is a king. Yeah, everybody. That's a thing. I know that. I know about that. But I thought, because you're sitting there, and you're saying I'm being disrespectful and I'm a small dude and I'm a bitch ass nigga and shit like that. But at the end of the day, I was right to attack you the way that I attacked you. At the end of the day, I was right, because you're not the king, you're a king. There's a difference. There's a very clear difference, because everybody in the street is a king. Everybody in the street is a king, but even kings have kings. So you have to understand, I'm your king. You know what I mean, bro? Like, Lucifer is my king. I'm your king, and you're king to everybody else. There's a hierarchy in things. There's a hierarchy in things. So he referenced that in his thing, but I don't think that that has anything to do with it, because at the end of the day, you're the boss. So there's certain things in spirituality, if you don't feel like doing, you don't have to. You're not obligated. If it looks like it might hinder your business, you don't have to do it. You're not obligated to do it. You don't. It's not like absolutely necessary for you to do it. You know what I mean? If that's the case, because he reads books too. Apparently, he reads books too. So if you're reading all these things, reading it is not is reading a book. Reading a book is useless if you don't understand what it's saying. Like, like this, you don't have to read 3,000 books in order to become like a spiritual master. That's bullshit. That's complete garbage. You if you want to be intellectual, yeah, you have to read a bunch of books. But if you're trying to be a spiritual master, you don't have to read a bunch of books. You just need to read a couple books. You just need 2-3 books, and then you practice what's in the books. You know what I mean? Like, like I would start with practicing Buddhism just for that prana energy, right? Just to be connected to the ether. I would practice Buddhism for a minute, and then I'd go into something more savage, like, shamanism, or how to evoke spirits. I would read books on how to evoke spirits and how to call for spirits. You know what I mean? And then I would try to evoke those spirits and see what happens. I would do a little bit of experimentation. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. And that, you can't tell me that doing that is going to hinder your business. There's no fucking way. There's no way it's going to hinder your business. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, this dude El Mira is not as powerful as he makes himself to be, obviously. And like, before he starts calling people bitch ass niggas and shit like that, he needs to realize what kind of power that he's dealing with, because he has no idea what kind of power he's dealing with. He doesn't understand certain principles. He doesn't know certain things. I mean, he doesn't even know that he's always talking about Kafu, but Kafu's actually Satan. You know what I mean? And you just said that he doesn't exist. Of course Kafu's crazy, so he might not care that he said that. But at the end of the day, if you really want to know the truth, if you really want to understand what powers and principalities you're using, if you look at Kafu, then he thinks he's sane. Like, and if you really do use Kafu, if you really do know him, which he probably doesn't, he would know that shit. He would know that Kafu is actually Satan. And I don't think he knows Kafu, because I don't think he talks to spirits. Like, he doesn't practice by himself. So he probably doesn't get messages like that. Well, he did say he gets messages from time to time, but it's just, it just, what he says just doesn't concur with what he shows. It just doesn't, like, there's no connection there, bro. Like, of course somebody, like, might feel like, well, Lucifer is just another, well, yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, Lucifer is the king. He's the cream of the crop. He's the top. Like, he's the ultimate being. You know. So for any voodoo practitioner or would be voodoo practitioners out there, it's not a good idea. It's a bad thing for him to make videos like that with misinformation like that. He might be doing it just to fuck with me, but you're misinforming your audience too at the same time. So that's the bad part. You're misinforming your audience. So you can't misinform your audience and just say shit just to piss somebody off. It doesn't that doesn't make any sense, man. You're fucking your shit up. So for any voodoo practitioner, any would-be voodoo practitioner, here's a secret that nobody told you. If you're doing voodoo, Lucifer is your king. It's not Baron. It's not. I mean, he might be in the practice that you're using, obviously, but the polarity power that you're using is the power of Lucifer. It's not the power of God. So all the gods are under Lucifer. You know, like Lucifer could beat a voodoo spirit. You have to understand that. I know it's not something that you want to hear. I completely understand that. I'm not trying to be like, oh, my dad is strong, bigger than yours and shit like that. I respect voodoo. I respect voodoo as a legitimate magic practice. 100%. I like 100%. I respect voodoo as a legit. I respect voodoo as a legit voodoo practice more than other witchcraft practices. You know what I mean? So to me, it's demonology, voodoo, and everything else. You know what I mean? Like, you know, Santeria, which is kind of like voodoo, and then everything else. You know, so I respect that part. So, but you have to understand that those demons that you don't believe in are stronger, way stronger, like miles apart from what you're using. And I mean that with no disrespect. And there is no demons that want to disrespect no Haitian spirit. This is not I'm not trying to create a war. I'm not trying to, if you think like you're going to go around town, you know, saying that, oh, voodoo ain't shit because demons are stronger, you got another thing coming, because the demons might fuck you over and, you know, you might end up in a bad situation. You know what I mean? So, you know, because they don't have a problem with Haitian spirits. Demons don't have a problem with Haitian spirits, and Haitian spirits don't necessarily have a problem with Lucifer either. They don't really have a problem with each other, you know. So you gotta respect that, bro. Like, you know, and you have to understand that even though there's a clear respect for each other, there's a clear respect between the two. You know, demons are stronger than Haitian spirits, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and I'm trying to say that as respectfully, and I don't want to make it seem like, oh, man, you know, Lucifer's gonna kick the shit out of you and shit. That's not at all what I'm trying to say. That's not at all what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying there's a hierarchy, and obviously demons are a cut above, you know. That's all I'm saying. But Haitian spirits are hard workers, so, you know, and they like to work. Haitian spirits like to work, so when you call them, it's like almost instantaneous, you know. So there's a clear difference. As of demons are kind of like, you know, they choose who they want to work with, you know. Like, they choose who they want to work. Like if they feel like working with you instantaneously, they will. It's like Clawneck I did a ritual with Klonek, and he was teaching me what to do before the ritual. He was teaching me what to do before I even, like, I didn't even, I was just thinking of doing a ritual with him, and he was already showing me the things that I had to do before I even, like weeks, a week before the ritual was about to be done. So he knew that I was going to call him, and he felt the need to teach me how to properly do it, you know. And that's the kind of shit that voodoo spirits might do. Voodoo spirits can act like that. Voodoo spirits act like that. Voodoo spirits, you just think of, I want to do some voodoo, and immediately something's going to start happening. So Klonek chose to work with me immediately, but he could have also waited after I've done the ritual to start working with me. So demons have a have an attitude. You know what I mean? The demons are niggas with attitude, pardon my language. Demons are niggas with attitude. They choose when, how, and who they want to work with. So sometimes there are some magic, demonic, demonology practitioners that is gonna have a little bit of difficulty working with them, because there's always a reason why they act the way they act. You might have not done something properly. You might have missed something. You might have forgotten something. It could be anything. So they react to those things. And they'll make you understand later what the problem was or what it is. It's like, sometimes, when you got an enemy in front of you, sometimes you're trying to concentrate on what you're doing, but let's say you have an enemy in your life, right? The demons are going to help you deal with that situation. But if you're like dodging or ducking that person, because you don't feel like attacking that person necessarily, the demons might not want to do any other rituals until you deal with that specific person or that specific situation in your life that's giving you trouble. Because that's what they want you to do at this time. They want you to head towards that situation, and you can't be scared to head towards that situation, because they will help you, and they are powerful. So if they want you to do that, it's because they believe that you can win, or they know that you are going to win, or anything in that manner. Like it could be any reason. Maybe it's to teach you a lesson too. Maybe it's to teach you a lesson. Maybe you're somebody that's very nervous, and you're always attacking people, right? So let's say you're somebody that's always nervous and you're always attacking people and shit, right? So maybe they want you to attack this person so you can be taught a lesson, you know what I mean? For you to stop attacking people, That's another thing too. That can happen too. So you might not know right now why some of the spells you're doing is not working, but you will find out later. There is a reason why later. Anyways, man. Shit. I'm so good at this, it's ridiculous. I'm kidding, man. I'm kidding. So it just goes to show you they have a personality. They don't just randomly, you can't just call them up and curse somebody and that's it. You know what I mean? Like, they have opinions about what you're doing, and they're gonna give you their opinions about what you're doing. Like in the movie, it's not like in the movies where you see the person hamala 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 hamala, right? And and the demon comes out of the smoke, and then he goes and kills the person's entire family and shit like that, bro. Like, in actuality, in real life, you're gonna do that shamala hamala hamala shit, And then the demon's gonna come out, and then he's gonna be like, "What do you want?" And then you tell him what you want, and then later he's gonna tell you, "I can't do that." And then you're gonna be like, "Why can't you do that?" And then he's gonna be like, "You're gonna find out later." And then you have to wait. And then you have to wait, and you have to find out. You have to wait for, you have to wait to find out why he can't do the thing, why he can't kill the person's entire family. you know, I'm kidding, bro. Like, I don't think demons are in the business of killing people's entire family, which could happen. Which could happen, because some people might deserve some shit. You know what I mean? Like, some people might deserve some shit, man. Like, I've seen some shit. Like, demons have done some pretty fucked up wild shit around me, bro. And but that it was deserved. Whatever happened, it was deserved. It wasn't, if they hadn't deserved it, that shit wouldn't have happened. Trust me. Trust me. If they hadn't deserved it, it wouldn't have happened. Demons are not in the business of attacking innocent people. They're not in the business of attacking innocent people, bro. And a lot of people think that's what a demon is. A lot of people think like demons are just here to just like savagely brutalize people. You know what I mean? That's not what they do, bro. Like, that's not what they do. So when you look at Cafu, that doesn't have a problem to savagely brutalize somebody. You can see that he wants to look like what a demon looks like to the eyes of others. Like, because Cafu, that's what he does, man. He savagely brutalizes people. You know what I mean? But it's because he doesn't want to replace Satan, but he wants he wants that notoriety. You know what I mean? He wants that swag, that demon have. Because demons evoke the most negative things in people. And some people find that cool. Some people think that the negative aspect of demons is the cool part. Me, what I think is the cool part is the whole apotheosis. The whole, becoming a demon lord is what I think is amazing. Like being taught how to become a demon king, or a prince of hell, or whatever you want to call it. That's what I think is interesting. That's what I'm tripping on. Like, that's crazy shit right there. So anyways, this video is too damn long. I'm done. I'll see you guys later. Peace out.